Hello and welcome to What's on Your Shelf. I'm your host, Mulero Mike, and today I'm hosting Rose. She is an award-winning data journalist and data analyst, proficient in R, Python, and other analytics platforms. She is skilled in data journalism, news writing, content creating, strategic planning, editing, blogging.
I'm a food enthusiast. Yes, I'm a health enthusiast. I'm a plant mom. I'm a mom.
Yes.
I'm a lover of order, and my order comes in terms of numbers. Kenyans are becoming more cognizant about what they are putting in their bodies. They want to know, where is my food coming from? What are the nutritional benefits of the food I'm eating? We don't need more food. We just need quality food. We are using fertilizer that has been banned in other countries. Is what I will act on. Whether you like it or not, whatever you read affects how you think.
You do data storytelling.
Yes.
What is data storytelling?
Data storytelling is just adding data to stories to give it depth, because most of the times when you're telling stories, because of the limitation in space and also in concentration spans of people, we find that you cannot put a lot of like prose in your stories. So that's where data comes in, to kind of add depth without adding to the prose, especially in written stories where people do get tired. Unless you're writing a novel, you need to give your story some weight, some meat, without making people tired. That's where data comes in.
There's been a lot of emphasis of late on data storytelling.
Yes.
And it has become sort of a field, a speciality in storytelling. But I keep asking myself, anyway, you were supposed to give the data in the story. Why is it that now there is sort of a speciality in that field?
Because first, it's a skill. You just don't tell stories with data anyhow, because then you run the risk of misrepresenting the data. And by misrepresenting the data, then people misinterpret your data wrongly, which goes against what you are trying to do in the first place. Yeah, even just recently, in April is data visualization month. So we on Twitter, we usually run a 30-day chat challenge where people share chats based on certain prompts. And for me, for this year, I decided, because of the number of misleading chats I've been seeing online, I would want to kind of highlight those and correct them. And there were so many. I wish I could highlight so many of them that were misrepresenting data and therefore misleading people in how they interpret that data. Yeah. So yeah, it's a skill, and it's a skill that should be well presented. Otherwise, you start misleading people.
What did you learn, or what did you see? What did you realize at the end of that whole month
Okay. Yeah. One thing I realized is that people will want the data to say what they want. So they will try and make it say what they want it to make it say, instead of just presenting the facts to people. Yeah. If I can give an example, there was a particular chart which was showing we call it a waffle chart. So it's just small boxes that were representing the vitamins and minerals in different milks. And they were using color to show that dairy had a higher amount of vitamins in every category of the vitamins and minerals. But it's just the color they were using to fool someone to think that dairy has a lot of vitamins and minerals, while in fact the other types of milk, especially the plant-based milks, had higher amounts of vitamins and minerals. And I say this passionately because I am vegan, so I don't take milk and eggs, animal and animal products. So it was really annoying for me to see that they are misrepresenting that data to push a narrative that's not there.
Well, what led you to being vegan?
What led me to being vegan? Okay, that's an interesting one. Okay, so when I was younger, we used to keep animals for their meat. So I overindulged a bit and happened to get a protein overload. So as usual, I was taken to hospital, and my mom was given the option of whether either to lay off the meat for a while or to be given some sort of medication, which was coming in the form of an injection. So it so happened that my mom, being the true African mom, she was like, okay, we'll lay off the meat. So we laid off the meat for a while, but then when I tried getting back to eating meat, it wasn't happening. I didn't like the taste. I started breaking out into hives. So the taste just came out of my mouth, and from then I have never. That was in class 2, I guess.
Yeah. Guys, I used to think that I love tea. Today, we are sitting with somebody who loves tea. And in front of us, there is a variety, different types of teas, different types on her shelf. We will talk about the books on the shelf, but one of the key things that I would want you to also notice is that other than these ones that we are being served today, we're going to have tea for the entire conversation. But there is this, there are pockets where there are different types of teas, and you'll take us through them. Where did the love for the tea come from?
I don't know. I guess I was looking for something to drink while I was reading, and black tea wasn't cutting it. So I started finding other types of tea. Also, in the process of my job, I used to host people in the food industry, and most of the people I came across are people who make artisanal and functional teas. And from there my love grew. So I started collecting teas and trying them out, and in the process I found something to be drinking as I read my books.
Yeah.
And
actually, for a very long time, I know this sample by Ketepa, and they've sampled different types of teas, and it has always been my go-to until today. And I've tried one here that I have never, ever heard of. I'm having this one.
All right.
Tell us about this one first.
This one. So this Dr. Stewart. So it's by an actual doctor. He's a botanical doctor. So he makes functional teas. Functional teas are teas that help with certain things. So this one, throat relief, is when you have, if you feel kahoma coming, this is the one.
I like the aftertaste. I like what it
because
leaves.
it has the main ingredient is licorice. So it has licorice, cinnamon, marshmallow root, not to be confused with the marshmallow, the sweet one. It's not that one, it's something else. Plantain leaves, sage and cloves. If you Google the benefits of these ingredients, you will find that they not only are beneficial for your throat, they are also beneficial in other areas. Like cloves. Cloves are very good if you have if you're having a cold. And cloves, if you burn cloves, they are very good for repelling mosquitoes. They are a very good mosquito repellent. So sometimes, even when you're having a lot of mosquitoes, I put clove oil on my diffuser, and it diffuses into the air, and we do not have mosquitoes.
Wow.
So that's this is also another Dr. Stewart. It's skin purify. So of course, it's for the skin, for purifying, detoxing the skin. Again, if you read the ingredients: lemon peel, burdock, lemon balm, chamomile for soothing the skin, nettle, dandelion, red clover. Like, you can never go wrong with Dr. Stewart. So, and then we have Sote blends. So Sote is actually a Kenyan brand owned by Sophie from the coast. So Sote is together.
All of us.
So, yeah, all of us. Yeah. So we in Kenyan households, when you come together, the first thing you're served as a guest is tea.
Tea. Bring us
As I
tea.
have so graciously done.
Yes.
So,
yes. You've
so
done
yeah.
that.
So we serve. The first thing you do is we serve tea, and so she has upgraded the normal black tea. Like this one is black tea with cardamom, and this one is it's also a functional tea. It's orange, ginger, turmeric, and cinnamon. It's very nice. And then she has another one, which is hibiscus, which is very good for the ladies, especially when they have menses. It kind of soothes, and the cramps are a bit more manageable. Yes. The other thing I like about this tea is their packaging. So most of the teas you find, they are packaged in bags, in like paper bags. But this one is in a biodegradable. So this is biodegradable. So you are sure that, because one of the concerns people have when they are taking tea is that it's plastic. Like the bag is plastic, but this one is biodegradable. It's made from corn, I think. Yeah.
That's really creative.
Yeah. So that's sorted. I have another one here called Elements. Oh, yeah. So I like this one, and I got this one during COVID because it has zinc. And as you know, zinc is a very essential mineral, especially when you're having cold. I think you should take this one next. So that's zinc. I have others.
I can see there's
yes,
still
this one is for mental. Yeah, keep your wits about you. This is a mental one. And the Ketepa one is that one.
Which is your favorite in this?
The one with mint. The one with mint. So it's mint. Yeah, this one. The one with mint. Followed closely by the lemon and ginger. So I usually combine the two. The lemon and ginger one.
So funny enough, I started with the mint. And I loved the mint for a very long time. And honestly, today I love the forest fruit. Especially in the evenings. I love the forest fruit.
All right.
Try it. Let me know which one is your favorite. What tea have you tasted here? And if you've tried this assorted Ketepa tea bags, which one is your favorite and why?
Yeah.
And then there is another one.
Oh, where?
This one.
Oh, yes. This is dandelion root. Roasted dandelion root. Oh, it took me a while before I got this one around. So this one is for the stomach. If you always have digestion issues, take one before. So this is also a functional tea, yes.
Okay.
Or even after, but mostly before, so that you don't get bloated. If you have issues with bloating, indigestion, and stuff like that. Yeah. So the other thing I usually look out for when because you find that these teas are a bit more pricey than kawaida teas, and it's because these ones use natural ingredients. When you go look and it tells you, okay, this is raspberry, please go look at the ingredients and make sure it's not raspberry flavor, because flavor is what is made in the lab, and then if it's raspberry is the actual thing. So it's bound to be a bit more pricey than when you're buying the flavored thing, which does not have the benefits that you're looking for.
Of all these teas, which one is your favorite?
This one. The one I'm having. Yes.
You've written about food for very many years.
Yes.
Where did the love for food start? And tell us first of all about the column you used to have on Standard.
Okay, so I used to run a food column called It's as in Kukula. And it ran for about a decade. I used to interview everyone in the food chain, from the farmer all the way to the final consumer and everyone else who is involved with food. So chefs, bloggers, influencers, all of them. And it was a very eye-opening experience for me because first, if you realize in Kenya, people say that veganism is an elite, like najifanya. Yeah. So if you go to hotels and you ask for vegan food, well, that was a long time. Right now things have changed and I've found my places. But people would tell you, oh, we don't serve that. So the only thing you could eat if you go to a hotel was fries. And make a mistake of going to a hotel where they use the same oil to burn their fish, to fry their fish. It's the same oil they will use to fry those potatoes. So you have... Actually, there was a time I went in Kisumu and didn't eat for 2 days because I couldn't find food to eat. I only survived on fruits because the same oil they were using to make... to fry their fish is the same oil they were using to... fry their mboga and their fries. Yes.
Some of us maybe don't notice because you...
Yes, because in fact for you it's added flavor, right? Yeah, but it was a hell of an experience. So from there I just started having a liking for finding good food. Because there's also the aspect of you're eating a lot, but you're eating very nutrient deficient food. So I started finding people, and that's when I started finding people, they're the same people I would interview, and they're the same people who would give me information about food. Like I interviewed a food scientist who improves the nutrition in food. So she has like ready-made foods which she sells like in these companies that buy lunch for their people. So like ugali, instead of making ugali with white flour, she adds sorghum and millet. And me, my ugali I cook with pumpkin, so it's just not
There's
white
pumpkin
flour
inside the ugali.
Yes, it tastes fantastic.
Guys, today we're just about to...
Yeah, so...
I've never tried that. I never thought about it to start with.
Yeah.
Every time, pumpkin, children. Butternut, children.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, and my children eat the food we eat. Like, there's no ati chakula ya watoto na chakula ya watu wakubwa, because the food is nutritionally balanced for everyone. Yeah.
What are some of the key changes you saw in the food sector in Kenya over the time that you were writing about that food ecosystem?
First, I've noticed that Kenyans are becoming more cognizant about what they are putting in their bodies. They want to know, where is my food coming from? What are the nutritional benefits of the food I'm eating? I once met a guy in the coast who raises, I don't know if algae is raised. He makes spirulina. And there was a school that had started giving spirulina to the kids. So spirulina it's a complete protein. It's algae that's grown in the ocean. And you harvest it. Have you seen the women in Chad? They grow spirulina and they eat it as ugali. It's a very nutrient-dense food, and it's what the people in NASA use, the astronauts, when they're in space. Very nutrient-dense. You're looking at me.
I'm looking at algae, I'm looking at ugali, I'm looking at eating. Those three things, combining them in the same statement. But it's really nice to know.
I think I should I have a couple of the spirulina. So it has a fishy smell because it comes from the ocean. Yes. And for people like me who can't eat fish or who don't eat fish, you can take the spirulina. In fact, the UN call it something. It's I don't know, the food for the future or something. Yeah. It's complete protein. It has all the however many minerals that you need to survive. So if you take that, especially with our lifestyles where we are so busy, we forget to eat lunch and I don't know what, you can take it and you're good to go. You feel satiated and you've provided your body with the minerals it needs to function.
How would you define your relationship with food?
Honestly, I've had a hate-love relationship with food for a very long time. Remember, I went to a boarding school where we were eating food that has been flavored with weevils. So I hated food at that time.
And
like
paraffin. I used to hear they had
they used to put paraffin to lower libido. Like I'm like, why are you lowering libido in an all girls school? Like, and we are going nowhere. Like, we don't have funkies. We like we're just in school.
You might cannibalize
With
the young ones.
So I really hated food at that time. Ugali haijaiva. Like, it was just a bad experience with food. And you could even see the results because you're coming from holiday, you come to school, umenona. Your skirt fits well. By the time you're getting to visiting day, you're almost holding a skirt,
Yeah, you can
a
put
belt.
a pillow.
Yes, so that you can fit in, kwa sababu hukuli. And even the food you're eating is okay. I can't say that we had an issue with food not being enough. We used to have enough food, but the fact that it used to, we used even to call the vegetables and ugali we ate bitter herbs. Last supper.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just horrible food.
And concrete.
So people used to sneak in, we used to call it tieni.
Yeah.
So they used to sneak in. So it's what is it called?
Sweet
Tungu,
potato?
onions.
Oh,
Onions that have been fried
Yes.
to a crisp.
Yeah.
And then added spices so that you can spice it a bit on your food.
Yeah.
But now, since it was
in Latin,
illegal,
it's called sablenya.
in Latin. So because it used to be illegal, I went to a school where we didn't even have a tuck shop.
Yeah.
So because it used to be illegal, we used to call it agoses, based on the book we were reading at the time, Merchant of Venice, where they were shipping agoses. So you'd ask someone if they have agoses, and then you'd share it out. So it was really interesting.
Yeah.
But then after that, once I started finding ways that people are actually going out of their way to improve the nutrition of food, I became very experimental with my food, and I'm loving it. Right now, I love food so much.
Kenya has been an agricultural nation for God knows since we discovered that there is Kenya. And agriculture being a critical revenue earner, there are so many transformations that have happened in that agricultural and food sector. One of them being the GMO conversation.
Yes.
What's your take on genetic modification of food?
The one thing I know and I have read and I believe in when it comes to food is that I should be very wary of especially fruits that have no seeds. So I don't know, do you know that bananas have seeds?
Banana is used to have seeds.
Yes. Right now our bananas don't have seeds.
Right now bananas don't have seeds.
And the bananas that have seeds are very sweet. Like, they're so sweet. So my question is, this genetic modification, I feel like there are some nutrients in food that are being removed by the genetic modification in an attempt to give mass food. Our issue is not that we don't need more food. We just need quality food.
From your reads, from your interactions with people you've met, is GMO bad?
Yes. In the long run. Right now, it will look like it's not bad because it's giving you a lot of, like...
It's responding to the current need.
Yes, the current need without looking at the future of what of the food that you're going to be eating. So you're catering to a current need, but without looking at the future. Yeah.
For the 10 years you wrote about food, and you're still in that food ecosystem. What is that one lesson that you've learned that you would like to share with whoever is watching us today? Looking at your kids, and sometimes it's easier to do something as a hobby and you're researching about it until you have a child of your own. Then you realize that you owe that child a duty of care to feed them in the right way.
Yes.
But what is that one thing, or what are those key things that you've learned that practically you are implementing in your own home and in your own habits?
That no one cares about you. You need to care about yourself. And caring about yourself comes from looking at the ingredients or the things you're buying. If you're buying, and I hear people complaining that when they go to the supermarket, they don't want to look at the ingredients because it takes too much time. Yes, it may take too much time, but in the end, it helps you. Everyone is in the business of making money. And if you're just buying because it says it has this, well, it doesn't, you're the only one who will end up sick, nutrient deficient, will die young.
Yeah. So I think when one of the books that struck me, and I think is where I wanted to start, is this one.
Oh, The Circle Maker.
The Circle Maker. Tell us about The Circle Maker.
So this is a Christian book. It's written, Mark Batterson is a pastor. So he's talking about making circles around your prayers. Making circles means being persistent and consistent in your prayers. That if you want something to happen, you need to consistently pray over it. Gives the example of when the Israelites were going around the Jericho wall, they had to go around it 6 days, and then on the 7th day, the Jericho wall came down. Yes, but the relevance of this book right now, and I like that you've picked this book, is that it talks about Honi the rainmaker. So he had been called to pray for the land because they did not have, they had not had rain for a very long time. So he came and prayed for the first time, and rain did not come. And then he drew a circle around himself and told God that I will not move from this place until you bless us with rain. And it started raining. It started raining so hard that they were saying that the size of the raindrops were as big as a log. Oh, then while he was still in his circle praying, he told God that I did not pray for such destructive rain. I prayed for rain that is of blessing, that is peaceful, si ya kuharibu. And it's so interesting that I read this. I just reread this, and it aligns so much with what is happening now. I'm feeling like the floods.
Yeah, State House prayed for the rain. And,
and here we have rains of destruction. People are dying. There are mudslides and landslides, and all that is happening. I think we should pray that we did pray for rain for sure, but we didn't pray for rain that is destructive. We prayed for rain that is peaceful. Yeah.
I find that controversial.
Why?
Because for me, in the political landscape we are in, honestly, I see it as an excuse. Because it allows us, when we go religious, we ignore the key fundamental conversations we need to have. We have poor drainage in Nairobi.
That is true.
We have solid waste management challenge in Nairobi. We have built in places we ought not to have built in the first place. Those things have culminated to the floods. I was reading somewhere, Nairobi is 5,000 feet above sea level. Nairobi is high. It's among the highest altitude cities in Africa. So ideally, Nairobi should not even flood. If we did everything as per what was supposed to be built. And today, State House prayed, the rains came, and now they've said that the Lord has blessed us with too much rain that has now caused destruction. We are hiding under the doctrine of Christianity and religion to fail to answer fundamental questions that people are asking that pertain to leadership. Right.
So there is a place for Christianity and prayers, and there is a place for governance. And I agree. We should have built proper drainage systems, proper waste management systems. I mean, how long has, and this came to my mind the other day when it rained and it was flooding, it reminded me of the lady from Budalangi, the one who was saying, imekuwa mbaya zaidi. But we do nothing. Like, she will keep saying that year in, year out, it will flood, stops flooding. She will say that year in, year out. Whether she had built in riparian land or whatever is another story. And it even boils down to us as the citizens of the people we chose. When Miguna was running for governor, what was his one thing in the manifesto is that he will deal with the drainage, like he will build proper drainage system. Saizi, Sakaja is the one who is collecting water with like things that are not even making sense.
Yeah, with a lorry.
With a lorry, with a fork. What do you call those things? The caterpillar that is chottering water and taking it God knows where.
Yeah.
So even us as citizens, we are the ones who are putting people in places of power, people who are not helping you in the long run.
Which begs the question, is it the system? Is it the people?
It's the people in the system. It's the people in the system. First, I think it has to start with the conditioning of our mind. You need to be transformed. The transformation of our minds first.
Yeah.
Before we can make any real effect on ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because even the leaders we've seen who've tried to make change don't get a second term to continue.
Yes.
Yeah. Because we are still stuck to our old ways. We are still conditioned in our old mindsets that we can't change.
Or maybe we are addicted to suffering. You get somebody who is trying to do a good thing. No, we don't want.
My mom says, tumerogwa.
Yeah. Because this one is doing a lot of good things. No. Let's bring one who can make us suffer. Good things. Yes. We want to suffer a little bit. And we are in a crisis. And I remember I did a story last year. And I was following those herders in Masai land in Kajiado who... That dude had walked for more than 40 kilometers south towards Loitoktok in search of pasture. And I went into a village where these guys were saying that when there is drought, we don't have men in the village. Mm-hmm. Security is compromised.
Yes.
We only have women. The boy child is not going to school. Perhaps they've gone with their father because they have herds of cattle and goats. And you only have women and either very small children or the girls in the homes. And it got to a place where I was asking myself, is it high time we also interrogated ourselves and asked ourselves, can we do something that can help? Because right now we have abundance of water. All these dams are busting their banks. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the one that happened in Mai Mahiu here, there is another one around Kinungi that is full, that is almost busting. What can we do as a country? And that is the question I keep asking myself. What can we do as a country to save this water? And I can't stop to think about Israel, which is among the largest producers of tomatoes and apples in the world. Mm-hmm. It's a desert. We've had people going to benchmark. This benchmarking, now I need to go. Even me, I need to benchmark. We've had people going to benchmark. Mm-hmm. They've never come back with that technology.
You know, you've talked about benchmarking, and I remember another story of people who'd gone to benchmark in Netherlands on how to raise dairy cattle. And they were redirected back to a farm in Nyeri, where was it Israel or Netherlands people had come to benchmark in Nyeri. And us, we are going to benchmark there, and they're getting the benchmark from here.
Where do we head from here? Looking at the rains, looking at the floods, and my heart goes out to all the people who've been affected. But this has to stop.
I'm really hoping, given the extent of the damage that the rains are causing, that it be a wake-up call. Because I think that previously, the floods did not affect us to a personal level. Mm. But this time round, if you are not the one who's been affected by the floods, know someone who has. So I'm hoping this is a wake-up call.
Wanasema floods imekuwa personal.
Hey, imekuwa personal. Imekuwa private. Yeah?
Yes. So Rosa, I want to transition to another book.
Yes.
I'm looking for it, and it's here. This one. You're a master of some of the programming languages. Mm-hmm. Master of AI. You understand machine learning. And that brings me to this book, The Innovator's Dilemma. Tell us about this book.
So this is a book loved by the tech innovators. So if you think about Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, and it's the reason why I picked it. I wouldn't say difficult book to read, but it's a book about disruption in the tech space. Like in this age where, in this tech age where everything changed so quickly, so abruptly, like we are almost out of breath catching up. If you want to know how to disrupt, this is the book to read. It talks about how Kodak fell because they refused to innovate. Yet they are the people with the first digital camera.
Yeah.
But they were like, this digital camera, kabla ishike, maybe it will be another 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And just like this, they were out of business.
One of the key things why Kodak refused to innovate, one of their biggest sales used to come from the film.
Yes.
Because most of those old cameras, that film used to be the thing. So that was their biggest business. So they thought about it and they said, if we go digital, this film is gone.
And then remember, they had also invested in infrastructure. So they had a lot of like those machines to make the film, and they're like, this is millions or billions of money going under the like waste. if we move to digital, but that was their downfall.
You've done amazing work.
Thank you.
And I look at most. We have a very active tech scene in Kenya, and we have a lot of young people who are doing amazing stuff. Why are we never always on the global footprint? Why are we still not competing?
Like as a country or as
a country? I would wish that by now Kenya is leading Africa in we've created some platforms, we've built some things, because we've built other people's things. We've built most of the products that come in, the Googles and the Microsofts and all these people who come in, and we've put our creativity in them. Why can't we build our own? Why can't we take ours to the world?
First, I think there's a lot of brain drain, because if you look at the main people in these big tech companies, you'll find that they're Kenyans, Africans. So our best minds are out there building the Googles and the whatevers. So there's brain drain first. So that leaves us, the others, to build for the country. I also think there's an issue with management and we are trying right now to kind of support the local innovator, but not to the extent that it makes an impact to the young innovator. So I think that's also an issue, because I believe if you are a young innovator in Kenya, you should not be paying taxes because you're building something and you don't have the money, or you should be able to access the financial help. Because if we go accessing financial help from outside, it comes with its own limitations. Like we're the ones who own the whatever, we own a share of this business, blah, 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 and all that. So there's an issue of legislation, and which needs to be addressed. And I think if the issue of legislation is addressed, we'll be able to do quite a few things. We'll be able to build quite a few platforms. Because if you talk to young people in the tech space, they have grand ideas, but because they don't have the financial muscle to put them into fruition, or you see someone has built something and then they are bought out by the big companies. Like, that's where we are.
If we took time to just reason together and stop this competition where I'm just looking at you, hey, Rosa natengeneza hii yetu sasa, hii yetu.
We are promoting like, we are not promoting collaboration. We
Yes.
are promoting more of
Competition. Yeah.
Yes. And I honestly think it boils down to the mindset. And that's why, personally, I made the decision to, in 2017, I'm like, whatever I'm feeding my mind is what I will act on. Whether you like it or not, whatever you read affects how you think. And that's why I decided, I'm gonna stop reading books, especially fiction books by white authors, because those are the books I've been reading since I was. And the person will give you the narrative from a white perspective, for lack of a better word, right? And if I did an analysis the other day of how far off from where someone is born they write their books, and 98% of the time they will write stories around where they are born, of course with the exception of the few sci-fi, but even for the sci-fi fantasy kind of books, they are written with an understanding of, like, with their understanding of how they grew up and the imaginations that they had and what the information they were fed.
Which ties it closer to that book, No Filter?
Yes.
Please pull that one. Tell us about that one.
So this one is the story of Instagram. From the moment it was made up to the moment it was acquired by Meta. Yes, it's a winner. It's the 2020 Business Book of the Year winner. By Financial Times holds an annual Business Book of the Year, and this was the 2020 win. So the things why I like this book, first, it's written by a woman. It's an investigative piece of the innings of Instagram. So, and the thing I liked about how Instagram was started, the people who started it, Kevin and the other guy whose name I forget, is they insist on, before you start any business, you should first be employed. Reason being, you will understand, first, employment gives you the discipline of a 9 to 5, where you're waking up, you need to be at work at this time, and you need to be, so it gives you that discipline of, you need to be at work whether you know what you're doing or not. And then number 2, it gives you the understanding. So the guy used to work at Google, so it gives you the understanding of, sometimes even these big companies don't know what they're doing. They're also trial and erroring.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's my biggest lesson from this book. I really loved it. You should read it.
I like what you've said about the importance of being employed before you do you get into a business. And we are in a season where more and more opportunities for employment are not there. How do we balance that? And a lot of people have found themselves in a business because I need to make money. I need to pay my bills. I don't want to go crazy. And day in, day out. And I was looking at a certain analysis that was done, I think, by the Aga Khan University, where they were saying a lot of young people, especially younger millennials towards Gen Zs, are more driven towards business than employment, are more driven, and some of them who are out there were asked, do you want to be rich or famous? They chose they want to be
famous and broke, of course.
And the dynamics of those things have changed, because I'm sure if my father would hear me say that I want to be famous and broke, he will blame himself.
And he should. He should, because that means he raised you wrong. It brings me to this book.
Yeah.
So, this book talks about, so the very first chapter, so it's the 30 3, which is the age I'm turning.
You're
Laws
turning
of
33.
Business and Life.
She hosted that on her birthday. Happy birthday, Rose.
Thank you.
Yes.
So the
That was-
first chapter of this book is fill your 5 buckets in the right order. And the buckets, let me just find that if you don't mind. The 5 buckets you are filling are what you know, your knowledge, which you get in school. What you can do, which is the skills, which is the applied knowledge from school, which is so weird because nothing we learn in school we ever apply, at least for my case. Nothing I learned in school I came and applied at work. I learned everything on the job.
Okay.
And then who you know, so those are your networks. Those are the networks you build. And you find that the networks you're building are coming from these places where you got your knowledge. You'll find that most of your friends are your friends from school, whether it's primary, college, and then where you went to apply your skills, the work, or the people you met in your course of work. So those are the networks you build. And then what you have and what they think of you. So in the process of making your networks, you give people a certain impression of yourself. And this whatever buckets must be filled in that order. Knowledge, apply, make your networks, and through your networks, people have a certain perception of you, which you must make them have that perception of you. So you say if you can't get that job, it is important to continue building those skills.
Individuals with a low self-concept will believe and view themselves as weak, incompetent, unwelcome, lose interest in life, be pessimistic about life, and give up easily. Upbringing has everything to do with how we approach the job market, what I always believe, because that self-confidence determines how you build that network, determines who you talk to. Because today, you might know 1 million people. Most of us, we have, our SIM cards have 250 names. Of those 250 names, there is somebody you can talk to today who can help you get to the next level. Might not get you to the best level, but can push you to the next level.
Read this book. Read this one.
Which one is that one?
It's called The War of Art. Not to be confused with The Art of War.
The Art of War, yes.
So this book talks about, like, when you're, among other things, how to deal with people who don't believe in your dream. Because people will only advise you or talk to you at the level in which they are. So, kama kwenye wakujai kuwa na journalist, una expect aji mtu akuongeleshe about journalism or to accept. Like, it's very hard to accept. And the bottom line point of this is, don't tell them.
They are your parents. They are asking you, sasa wewe umemaliza shule unataka kufanya nini?
Kitu ingine tu hapo. Read this book. It will tell you what to do.
The War of Art.
The War of Art.
Not the Art of War.
Not the Art of War.
The War of Art. The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield.
Yes.
If you don't tell, there are conditions, and I think there are conditions and circumstances where people must know. They want to know. You're done with high school, and I feel like it's. I run a training and mentorship program, especially for young people in media and arts, and a lot of people who come to me are people who, because now the parents didn't see it.
You know, you're talking, and I'm just. Books are just in my head.
Yeah?
The Art of Gathering.
The Art of Gathering. How we meet and why it matters.
Yes. So the author of that book runs She's the First. It's a civic tech company. So she's talking about, like, all these meetings, and I put meetings as a general word. Like, how do you ensure that these meetings you're making, whether it's a Zoom meeting for your company or a book club or a funeral, a wedding, like, how do you make them matter and how do you make them memorable? And she was giving a very good example of a baby shower. Usually, we do baby showers for the hell of doing baby showers. Like, we have the ladies, they come, we share, what do you call them? We share a cake, we have games. And she was like, no, we are preparing for a baby. I don't want my baby shower to be, I've been brought gifts and diapers, and then I have no knowledge whatsoever of what to do when the baby comes. So she made the decision that for her baby shower, she was only going to invite women who've had babies who will advise on how do you go about this baby caring business. And I found that very interesting and more impactful, because who are you doing this baby shower for? It's for the parent to be. It's not for the friends to come and have fun, because essentially the baby showers you do at the moment are just for having fun. So that book shows you how to come up with impactful programs.
Yeah.
Or meetings.
But don't you think when you approach it that way now, it's not fun? Because there are also friends of yours who...
But who said that time when these parents are coming, it won't be fun? We will play games, for sure.
The parents will play games. The
are
games
you trying
parents
to call
are playing.
me? I can't play games.
The games parents are playing are those games you're like, no, parents, guys, please. And I like what you're saying. And I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm just asking myself. I've never had a baby shower, guys.
Okay, baby shower is just an example. The point is, don't do meetings for the sake of meetings. Don't do a birthday. The birthday is lazima kuwe na keki, because that's how birthdays are done. Like, think through why you're doing this birthday and what you want to achieve from it.
But please have a birthday cake, please. For a birthday, please have a cake. That one is why I'm coming to that birthday party. And I get it. I like what you're talking about, where it's intentional gathering.
Yes, intentional.
You're intentional. And who am I calling into this space? Friends who are hearing this, remember, this is what's on your shelf. Today we're sitting with Ross, who is a data analyst and has done a lot of things. Check her out on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. She's done amazing work with data and machine learning and such kind of a thing. But remember, what's on your shelf is brought to you courtesy of the Kenya National Library Service, who are our partners on this podcast, and also the Nuria Bookstore, who are the leading online bookstore. And by the way, did I tell you that Nuria has an app? Yes. Now you can download their app and you can check out some of the books. You can make an order. You can build a community within the app. Check it out. It's on Play Store. But the most important is that they are on the first floor of the Bazaar Plaza. Just walk through that ramp and you're into the show. It's bigger, it's better. They're stocked. The last time I checked, they had 1,300 Kenyan authors, and still counting. Week in, week out, there are more. But what are you hearing from this conversation? Who are you putting in your circle? With which bucket are you
filling?
In your journey of filling the 5 major buckets. But remember that you can always interact with us. Talk to us in the comment section. Tell us what you think about. Is there a book that we've discussed so far that is of interest to you? We're still on the journey and we will get there. And with this, who are you putting in your circle? Tell us on the comment section. Ross, I want to transition. There is a maroon book there, and pull that out.
Before we go to this, I've just seen a book that we forgot to mention. This yellow, black, show
this
your
one?
work. Yes.
Okay, then put that back first. I like it, and I spotted it when I was going through your shelf, and it's a book I want to talk about. Though, show your work. 10 ways to share your creativity and get discovered.
Yes. You remember when we were talking about how there are these platforms and these products that may be good or better than what we know, but we don't know about them. Most of the time it's because the people have not marketed themselves. There are people who hate self-promotion, especially artists. They do not like self-promotion. And this book had bought it for my husband, who hates self-promotion, to just kind of help him get his work out there. Because like I feel his work is good, but he never likes getting his work out there. Because one point of getting your work known is to show your work. And that book, it's small, but it's mighty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost read what you wrote to him, but I will not read that.
Read it.
I got to this book because you detest the very idea of self-promotion. I hope you ease into it after reading this, if you get around to reading it. What was his response? What reviews did he give for the book?
He said he'd read it. He's yet to.
And this is what, 75? Yeah. But I think it's an interesting thing, because I think, just linking it with the earlier conversation we were having, where we have very good, and is it a techie thing? Because I feel like there are amazing techies in this country who now converting that thing into words.
Okay, so when I was in school, we used to be told that techies have a problem with communicating, that they like being fast. You'll find that most techies are introverts and they like keeping to themselves. They just want to get the work done. And they're not so good at communicating their work to people, which is what brings the barrier. So when they come to talk to you about their product, they're just talking techie jargon, which will put someone off. Not everyone, many of them, and I think that's where the disconnect comes to. But I think with practice, you can get your work and talk about your work. I mean, I am a techie that knows how to speak about their work.
Yeah, you're 1 in 5 million.
1 in 5 million.
But for me, I always feel like that is something that God created so that we can partner.
Yes.
Because we are all gifted in
Differently.
very many different ways. And your strengths fill in my gaps, and my strengths fill in your gaps. And that is where most of the time I always want to emphasize on the teamwork, because now he can create something, you can sell it.
Yes.
There is something he can create, you can't.
You need to stop talking, because now you're just putting books in my
Bring
my
the
head.
book. This is what's on your shelf. And I like it that we are speaking about a topic. There is a book that speaks to it on your shelf.
speaks to it.
Yes. But there is some very interesting. I like very interesting. You've read this book yourself?
Yes, I have.
There's a part that gets me curious. It's number 7 that says, "Don't turn into human spam." Enlighten us. When people realize they are not being listened to, they tell you things.
Come again? Don't?
Shut up and listen. When people realize they are being listened to, they tell you things.
And that's actually a very interesting thing that I learned in journalism. Like, let the person speak. You'll get more information from them when you let them speak than when you're trying to, you're cutting them short and you're asking them closed-ended questions, and like, give someone time to talk. You'll be surprised at what you may get. And you'll find that even the best investigative or human interest journalists, they let people talk. They are not in a rush.
Yeah.
They just let you speak.
I struggle with that, especially, and every time when especially we're doing stories, I struggle where the journalist is struggling to give a voiceover over something. You just let that person say it. Just let
them
it.
speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this
is the book. So this is by Ian Dennis. I edited this book. And he has another book, a second book out. He hosts The Business Coach, I think. Yeah. So in this book, he has that, like, teamwork and how you bring people, how you build brands through teamwork and all those. And in every chapter, he gives a case in point, Kenyan examples. You're saying we do not have Kenyan techie businesses. There's so many of them in that book. So he gives, if he's talking about bootstrapping, he has some 2-3 Kenyan examples to tie that point in. It's almost written in the same way as this book, How I Built This. Please pick this book here.
Which one? How? This one?
Yeah. He has a podcast by the same name. They are written in the same way, where you're making a point. Maybe you're making a point about how to market your product or how to build your brand, and then he has like 3-4 examples to show how that was done. Those 2 books, and they both have podcasts, so by the same name. So this one has a podcast called How I Built This, and he also has a podcast which I will link you to.
And just to say, sometimes I ask myself, especially when you're looking at context, isn't business context specific? Because sometimes when people say, follow this path, I always feel like it's easier for somebody to say, I followed this path and it worked, rather than saying, follow this path, it will work.
Exactly. And that's why, if you notice, I do not have any self-help. Well, I do, but I probably haven't read them. Any self-help step books. I learn better with stories because stories make sense to me. Let me get the points from the story. Don't give me the points. And this book is very good with that. They were talking, an example that still I have in mind. They were talking about this luggage company. I forget the name. How they came about to starting the business. We are always being told, find a business, start a business that solves a problem. And for a very long time, I didn't understand what that meant. Like,
yeah.
I don't know what you mean by that until I read that story of that luggage company where these 2 ladies, this one lady went into an airport, lost their luggage, and then when she found it, I think it was torn or it had burst open, and then she got the idea of making bags, like break-resistant bags. And she was the artist behind it, and then she teamed up with her friend who had the marketing, who was a fashion designer who helped design the bag, and then she helped marketing it. Teamwork, you said, right? Yeah. So this book is very good and this one too, because it gives you the real story. So it gives you the context now you're looking for without giving you, like, it doesn't just give you points, because I also agree that sometimes you're given points and they don't even make sense.
No.
Yeah. And also sometimes.
And then you see sometimes as somebody also who started a business and started a couple before that failed, sometimes it's easier when somebody is telling you about the story of that lady and saying, I'm in an airport and my luggage is lost, and then I have this idea and I want to start a company. You need capital. You need, like, there are so many things,
the nitty-gritties of
that
it
now defines where you start. That is not just this beautiful thing. And sometimes I try to run away from people who just talk about the successful part of business. And I always want to hear
where they failed.
Where did you start? And
read that book.
Yes.
Also this the Instagram one.
Yes.
Also has aspects of where they failed.
And you did finish telling us something about
I did I not?
No Filter. You had started saying the journey before they were acquired. What was the most outstanding thing for you in No Filter?
That fact that 2 things. The fact that, number 1, the employee, you need to first get employed to get a gist of how businesses work. And number 2, about this, you know, Instagram was acquired by Meta. The reason for their acquisition was so that they can, you see how these big businesses acquire businesses so that they don't work
Yeah.
So like to
You don't
kill
become
them.
the next big
Yeah,
thing.
you don't
Yeah.
become the next, so that they can kill you and kind of control you. Yeah, there's aspects of it in that book, but the owners fought back, like really fought back for Instagram to be its own thing without being incorporated into Facebook. A local example: when Nation acquired Gafla, and Gafla became business news, and then it was kind of watered down because Gafla was becoming big. So, same story.
Now I want to move on to other books. The Vanishing Half.
Yes.
Tell us about The Vanishing Half.
So this, and among other books, were books I read for Black History Month, which is in February. So this is a book about two sisters who are black, but they could pass for white because they are very light skin. So one decides to live the white life because of the white privilege associated with it, and the other one remains black. And then it follows now their lives through the generations. And you see, like, it's a very moving story, like how she separates herself from her family so that she's able to live her white life, but then realizes she's more imprisoned by that white life because she can't go back to her. Like, everyone has to be dead in her past life for her to live comfortably in this white life. And it just follows their story, and then after they get kids, it follows their kids' stories until they grow older. And it's a very moving book about how you live as a black person and how you live as a white person. I know in Kenya it wouldn't ring true for very many people because we do not have racism and all that, but this book was nice. So The Vanishing Half, the Vanishing Half is the half that decided to be white and they were black. Yeah, this is an interesting book.
You spoke very nicely about it. What were those things that the thoughts and the reflections that came to you with that book?
First, there's when this girl went to be disappeared and went to be a white person.
Like, she left home and nobody knew where she was going.
Yes, she left home. No one knew where she went. She changed. Initially they were living with the sister. She changed her name. Of course, took the husband's name, and
the husband was white.
Yes, when the sister went looking for her, because she was black, she couldn't be allowed into white buildings, but she was also the black that could pass for white. And the person who was with her was helping her look for the sister, was telling her, the thing about being white is that you just decide to be. Which, the point of this book was, you can be what you decide to be. Which is true in every situation. Yeah. If you decide you're a defeated person, you sure are.
So did she succeed being that thing she wanted?
Yes.
She became white.
She became white, but it didn't bring her the joy that she thought it would.
That is exactly where I wanted to ask you, because sometimes you want it.
You want it so bad.
But does it bring the fulfillment that...
Not necessarily. Closely tied to this is this one, The Bluest Eye, by Toni Morrison. It's also about a girl who was very dark and ugly, who wanted blue eyes.
Dark and?
Ugly.
Nice. Okay.
Who wanted blue eyes. She wanted blue eyes so badly, she went crazy. Or at least that's what I understood. This book is so complex. She went crazy, wanting the blue eyes. And we are told in the story that had she gotten the blue eyes, she would have been more ugly. But she wanted the blue eyes because in her school, she saw the white girls had blue eyes. But had she gotten the blue eyes, there's actually a statement that says, can you imagine blue eyes on that dark skin? Like, she would have been more ugly. Yeah.
I come from the school of thought
That. Yeah.
that believes that I strongly believe in that thing of beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And this person that you find not visually appealing, there is somebody somewhere who, when they just see this person, the grease in their knees evaporate.
I agree. But in the book, it was agreed unanimously that she was ugly.
But what are some of those things you think about in life that we want so badly, yet are so detrimental upon having them?
You've said that. Wait, let me tell you another book. I don't think it's here. I think I gave it out. So there's the book, The Midnight Library, which talks about, there's this lady who dies
ya kifo.
Yes. And goes into purgatory. So, and then in purgatory, she ends up in a library with green books, and each book represents an alternative life she would have lived. So she has the option of going through each life. And she goes through each life and eventually realized that the life she has been detesting so badly, she's been left by the boyfriend and she's not doing well in life, or so she thinks. She thinks that her life was so bad, but her alternative lives she would not want to live. There's one even where she's a rock star. Actually, now that you say that, give me that blue book there.
Which one?
That one.
This one?
Yes. I actually did an illustration of it. She's called Nora, I think.
That's your journal?
It's a reading journal.
It looks really nice.
Oh, thank you. Where is it now?
You're very serious when you're doing that, right?
Yes. Yes, so this is her. So there's a life where she's a rock star. She hated that life. There's a life where she's an Olympic medalist. She hated that life because of the control. Like, she couldn't eat anything she wanted. She always had to have her manager around. She couldn't eat what she wanted because she was an Olympian, so she needed to be in top shape all the time. She couldn't, like, her life was so monitored. She hated it. There's a time she's a scientist. Did she hate this life? I don't remember. There's a time she opens a bar. She does not like it. Like, it's just
this one with
chaos.
the kangaroo. What is she doing?
It's not what you look at that matters. It's what you see. I don't remember what happened there. Never underestimate the big importance of small things. Her name was Nora. Just goes to tell you that,
guys, people are doing serious stuff. You illustrate. So this one entirely done by you. When you're reading, you're thinking, you're processing, you're putting down on paper.
Yes, I'm putting them down on paper. This was a collaborative
The
work.
illustration is so good.
Oh, the illustration is not me. At least not most of it. The detailed ones are done by my husband. He's an illustrator. But the others, the small, easy ones are done by myself.
The small, easy ones.
The small, easy ones.
This one
is easy. This one is easy. This one is easy. The animals, of course, are not me. The tree is not me. This one is easy. This one is easy.
Look at that. And one thing that I've loved, and when as you were,
there's this.
People are serious out here.
Those are the books, the recommended books for Black History Month.
So this is journaling to which degree?
That's just bullet journaling for
centigrade. This one is those ones that now.
They're all on my Instagram.
back to that conversation.
Yes.
We want what we don't have.
We want what we don't have.
And sometimes we think what you don't have was
Is
the
better.
best. And then you have it.
And then you realize
And
you
then
had
you
it
don't like
good.
it. And then most of the time there is no way back.
There's
you can't
no way
go
back. Exactly.
You can't unsee.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about that and you reflect in the current consumerism society that we're living in, and people fancy the guy with the big car, we don't care what is in your brain. That thing, you can flash money, and it has pushed a lot of people into a very materialistic kind of living where you just want, it doesn't matter the depth.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to see it looks nice. I'm living in a big house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pushing a lot of young people, the Instagram generation, into depression because I want to have beautiful vacation photos like Rose has.
You don't even know where Rose got the money.
No, me, I just want those ones. And look at the thriving blue movies industry, and it has come closer home. And today people talk about it like it's okay. But I feel like that consumerism society and mentality has pushed a lot of young people into such spaces where you've gone too deep that now you don't even know how to find your way back. There are a lot of things. And when we were talking about work, I've seen a lot of texts that a lot of people are writing about Gen Zs in the workspace.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I'm the one who is associating with a different group of Gen Zs, because I work with Gen Zs, and the team behind me is full of Gen Zs.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I struggle when I read certain things that people write about Gen Zs. They don't work, they don't come to work, I don't know, they want what. Would you relate it to this whole thought process where you want something and you want it so bad, and you're going for it? How you feel about it, we will talk about later.
Okay. But just to comment on Gen Zs or any other generation, I don't like this generalization of Gen Zs, this, millennials, this. There are generalizations that don't work. There are millennials who don't like going to work. The millennials who don't like 9 to 5.
Yes.
There are Gen Zs who love 9 to 5s.
Yes.
So I don't like generalizing. Because when we generalize, we want to say like the world has only one type of Gen Z or one type of millennial.
Yes,
or
and it
one
doesn't
type
matter
of
they are in the US.
Which is not true.
They are in the UK, they are in the US, they are in Ukraine, they
and
are
you're
in
also
Nairobi.
assuming they have the same interests, which is not true.
I have a lot of books that are striking me. So I'll come here because I've seen some Netflix up there. But let me come to this first.
Yes.
The Fortune Man, Nadifa Mohammed.
Yes. So this was also a book about someone who was wrongly imprisoned due to a faulty legal system.
A faulty legal system.
Yes, like a dysfunctional legal system. And this is what we are talking about the system not working.
Yeah.
And what we can do about it. And the bottom line of this book is you need to... Oh, and by the way, it's based on true events. He was jailed, I think, for 14 years for a crime he didn't commit. Yes. So, systems. And what you can do to systems to make them work. Yeah, this is the book. Told in form of a story. And you can see how I've tabbed it so badly.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's something I've noticed with this tagging, which I'll come to. Why did they call it the Fortune Men?
Fortune Men.
Who are the Fortune Men?
it was the man who was it. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. I need to reread it and then I'll let you know.
Nadifa is Somali.
Yes, she's Somali.
Sometimes when you think about Somali, I don't know if the picture that I have in my head, when I see things like this, I feel interested to know more about Somali. I think Somalia is one of the countries in Africa I know very little about. But it always paints a picture of war. No one is even walking on the streets. There's no tarmac road.
And that brings me back to the reason why I started reading books written by African authors. So why do you have that perception? The books you've read or the stories you've had, from whose perspective have they been told from? Of course, not the Somali people. Yeah. It's from...
And if they are having fun, they are dividing pirate money. They have...
Because they are being told from the white perspective. If you read stories written by Somali authors, you'd get a totally they'll tell stories about their weddings and the good stuff, not the wars and again, goes to from whose perspective are you reading the story from? Like this book. This book is written by an Ethiopian author. So he's gone to UK to study, and then he comes back home. Is it Ethiopia? No. Sudan. You also know Sudan as war,
in
right?
fact, you know Darfur.
Exactly.
And
But this book is talking about an area in Sudan that is very fertile. There are farmers. This person has been to the UK. Ametoka kusoma. Someone who's successful comes back and meets people who've also been to the UK, have read, are educated and all that, because it's written from the perspective of a Sudanese author who also, and by the way, it was initially written in Arabic, so this is a translated version. Yeah, this is a very renowned Sudanese writer, and this was a book for my work book club.
Tell me about this one. Season of Migration to the North.
Yes.
Tayeb Sali.
Yeah, so it's that guy goes to the UK to read and then comes back, and then we are just being told the story of how different Sudan is from UK and how similar it is, and the stereotypes surrounding. They still have the stereotypes of we live in trees and we all know each other. It's like we live in the same house or something like that. And we are poor. And they have this savior mentality, and he really leans into that to get what he wants when he's in the UK. It has some very dark things, but basically.
Tell us about the dark things.
No, he kills women he dates. But he lures them. He lures them with that with the savior mentality that they have. And then he comes home and he's good. He continues farming. He's a poet. He's very educated. It's a very interesting book. And then I like the way it's written. It's very poetic. Yeah.
Is this fiction? Or it's based on a true story?
It's fiction, but it's based on, let me see, it's based on a famous play. Let me see, it's called... I forget the name. It was written here. Like when you read it, if you've read the play that he mentions here, you'll see similarities. It's called, I can't remember the name of the play. I'll find it and let you know.
I'm looking at this, and I'm keen to want to know Unusual Grief. I don't know if it's a book.
Oh my God! Someone wrote on this book.
Yeah?
My son wrote on the book. I'm going to murder someone.
Well,
I'm just seeing this. Oh, keep your books away from children. Oh my God, I've not seen this. Oh, this is awful. Anyway, yes. So
it has pained you that much.
it has pained me. It's okay. I will have a conversation of how to respect people's properties. So this is a book about a daughter and a mom. So the daughter dies when she's away from the mother, and they were not in good terms when she dies. So the mom has to go to where the daughter used to live and like collect her stuff. And in the process there, she meets now the people who knew the daughter in her dying moments. And it just explores like how she deals with the death of the daughter, the fact that they had not reconciled. And she's trying to know her daughter in her final moment through the people she lived with and the work she did and all that. And she goes a bit far and starts sleeping with the daughter's boyfriend or something like that. It's very interesting. And I like that it's based in South Africa. Like it's an African book. So I can relate. Oh, interesting fact. I also read it in the time leading to my dad's death. And it came in handy so much. The unusual grief.
Hold on that thought of sleeping with a boyfriend. I'll talk about that in a bit. But now just talking about grief and looking at how we deal with grief as a people. There is a conversation that has elicited a lot of emotion online, especially in the recent past when we lost the CDA for Gola. And the son, who was outspoken, spoke. And one of the key things I think that struck me is when he said, our dad prepared us so much for this.
Yes. And I think it's something most African parents should do. And I think we don't do it because we don't have death conversations. In my family, we do a lot. So
what are you talking about? When I die?
Yeah. When I die, these are the investments I have. This is how they will be shared. This is how I want to be buried. Don't do this.
What is the importance of that?
So it prevents things like sibling fighting over land.
But you would write a will. I write a will, deposit in a bank, and I tell my lawyer, brother, when I visit Jesus, come to this bank, read for these people this thing.
There's the issue of people not being truthful also. Okay, there's the issue of the will. That's fine. But what happens to your bank account that has money or your investments, other investments?
That is different from talking about death. Because I feel like, maybe it's just me, death will happen.
It will.
At what point is what we don't know.
Yes.
The manner we don't know.
Yes.
So it's a lot of people, especially with reference to that story, they said, a lot of people lauded it and said, that guy taught his children well and he's prepared them for death.
But they wouldn't do the same.
Will we ever be prepared for death?
I feel like there are people who are usually prepared for death, like the people who are sick and they've been told, oh, you have this amount of time to live. Those people are usually prepared for death. And then there are people in certain professions, like those ones who are actively in war. I think they do prepare their people for death. There's a book I read like that. Where is it? Like there are people... there are people who are prepared for death. People in certain professions and people who are undergoing certain illnesses that will eventually lead to death. Those people are prepared for death. But kawaida people like us, most of us are not. But I think it's important that we be prepared for death, we talk about it. And that's why even nowadays, hata kumetokea insurance, like there's death insurance, and it has a very low uptake because of that tradition that Africans do not talk about death. So we are never prepared.
The funny part is that the insurance for death is called life.
It's called life insurance.
Imagine.
Yeah.
There's a book that I've kept here next to me because it struck me. First of all, the way it's the design looks like quite a lot is going on, but it's called A Peirogon.
A Peirogon.
By Callum McCann.
Yes.
Tell us about A Peirogon.
So, if you want to learn anything about the Israeli-Palestine war and you don't know where to start, this is a good book to start with. So it details. So first, it's a fiction book, but it's based on a true story of a Palestinian man and an Israeli man both lose a daughter, and now they meet in like group therapy, and now they're talking about it. And it just tells us how there's these boundaries that they put between Palestine and Israel. There's zone A and zone B and zone C and all these zones that are manned by Palestine and others are manned by Israel and others that are manned by both Palestine and Israel and all that. And how it doesn't matter, that at the end of the day, we are all human and we all face the same emotions. And it juxtaposes that with the bird migration in Israel and Palestine and how the birds just move between the regions and no one asks them. But sisi ndio tunataka, we want to prevent people from moving from one area to another, and we are all the same species. If you look at the cover, you can see like there are birds that are gold and then there's a white bird somewhere.
Yeah.
Like the white bird is not supposed to be there, but it's there and it's moving. Yeah, and it was interesting just even beyond the story to learn about the bird migration. I didn't know there was a bird migration, and I have learned so many names of birds. Yeah. And it also gave me perspective about this zoning. Yeah. If you look at page 29, and then I like that it has very short chapters. And then if there's a very important point they want to pass across, it's one line and it's in its own chapter. It has about 1,001 chapters.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. Chapter 59 is just one sentence.
Yes. What's the sentence say?
On the wall of the restaurant were photographs of frigate birds scissoring over the sea.
You can tell that that line will be very instrumental in that story somewhere in the future of that story. Yeah.
I'm split. I want to talk about the birds.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want to talk about the Israel and Palestine conflict, because that over the last 2 years, it has been on headlines, it has been on, and right now it's even getting more intense, and it is the source of now one of the worst or the largest protests in the American history, as compared to what has happened before. But as somebody who's read, based on this book, to somebody who doesn't understand, what is the key conflict between Israel and Palestine?
Resources. Period.
Who wants whose resource?
Everyone wants everyone else's resources. And I'm not an expert whatsoever in political matters, and I do not want to get into it because I do not want to be misquoted or to say I'd rather remain grey on this area. But one thing I know for sure is that killing of innocent people is wrong.
That's wrong.
Is all I'm saying.
Be it Israeli, be it Palestine.
Be it Israeli, be it Palestine. Killing of innocent people is wrong. Killing of children is worse. It pains me when I see children dying and children, like, you can imagine how the innocence of a child who does not even understand what's going on. Like, there was that kid who was killed. I don't know if it was in the Palestine-Israel war, who said that atawashtaki kwa Mungu. Like, such innocence, and then you're seeing such kids dying, and it's just heartbreaking. Yeah, that's my take on that. Killing people is wrong, period.
There is raging war in every single corner. There is war in DRC. There is war there, there is war there. But now what comes closer home every time people talk about war is the post-election violence that we always have. And sometimes we dare each other too far as a people, and we always look like we're inviting that war. Bring it on. And we look like we want it so badly.
In the post-election violence. Now, there's a book to that. I don't know if you've read Havoc of Choice.
I've read Havoc
by
of Choice.
Wanjiru. Yes, Wanjiru Koinange.
Yeah.
It's the same, like, at the end of the day, you don't care because you're Kikuyu, I will not come to your house, or because you are another tribe that's not mine, I will not take your help. Yeah. When you're in need, those things fly off the wall. Yeah.
But must we get to a point of need to understand how human we are?
It's the human condition, though.
You spoke about bad migration.
Yes.
and I think as you were speaking about it, thoughts were flying across my head, left, right, and center. And I learned last year that actually there is a serious bad migration that happens in Kenya. Did you know that?
Besides the wildebeest one.
There's
a bad migration.
There is a bad migration that happens. Actually, it's called African Eurasia Flyway, where birds come from as far as Russia and France. And as they go down the Rift Valley, actually they rest in Baringo for a couple of days. They have a stopover in Baringo. And
this is not a tourism attraction because
what you said, we don't know about it.
We don't know about it. That's
but
true.
Actually, it was so fascinating. And they say
aware.
there are more than 400 different species of birds.
But you remember that time they got like some special bird? You remember there was a time there was a special bird that eventually died, right?
Yes. Because
was it part of that migration? Did it come as part of that migration?
I wouldn't say so, but this one now people say is annual. There's the same way we have an annual wildebeest migration. There is an annual
bird migration.
Africa Eurasia Flyway where birds migrate.
When does it happen?
Around between July and October, depending on weather patterns.
Do Baringo know it happens?
Baringo. Do you know? and actually, the warder who was explaining that to me, I found it very fascinating, and I was like,
a warder in Baringo.
Yes.
Okay.
And we were doing a certain story in Baringo, and I asked myself, why do we focus so much on the conflict in Baringo? Yet they are very beautiful.
Exactly.
things.
From whose perspective is the story being told?
But it is our security and media houses that talk about the conflicts every day. And sometimes I ask myself, is Baringo a shopping center? Because they always speak about everything in Baringo is like a certain shopping center. And all these people who are fighting, they are fighting here. They go back to their houses, they rest, they come back the following
Also
day.
realize how conflict sells in news. That's why... and I've worked in a newsroom for over a decade, so I know that the nice stories are always pushed to the background whenever a conflict story comes at the forefront. So, in that Baringo story, if there's a wedding happening and there's a conflict happening, you can bet that the conflict will be taken. Even the good stories, if the good story happens to make airtime, it will be 50%, it will be given 50% less airtime than a conflict story. Yes. You can be sure right now, newsrooms are having the time of their life, reporting on
floods
and the systems that are not working and blah, 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 blah. That's where they thrive.
We don't know about that. Even us, as the people of this republic.
And does the migration signify anything? Like you see the way, if there's the wildebeest migration signifies rains, or what does it signify?
I think it's change of seasons because birds are very from the little understanding, guys, I'm not, the people who study birds are called who? I'm not one of them. But from the little I understand that birds are very particular in their breeding and where they breed, where they lay their eggs, how they bring up their next generation. And those seasons influence a lot the migration. There are seasons where it's very cold in Europe, and most of the time it's around towards the end of the year. And then Africa has fair temperature across the year. And now, I think personally, I would also just be interested to see, because even Africa, the weather patterns have changed. And it's not the normal we used to know. And things.
And does that influence the bird migration?
I don't know. Guys, tell us. If you are a bird expert who is there and you know maybe something about this Africa-Eurasia flyway, tell us something. Leave a comment on the comment section and we'll be happy to reach out and also maybe just have that conversation.
Now that you mentioned about birds, it reminded me of, I was speaking to the CEO for Jumbo Jet, Karanja, and he was telling me how how birds fly has influenced how he runs Jumbo Jet as a business, and it's also documented in the book called Nuts. In the V formation.
Oh yes,
the V formation, and how the first bird, because it's the one that breaks the wind, it makes it easier for the others to follow. And then when he's tired, he keeps rotating so that he gains more strength when he's behind there, and then someone else takes over. Yeah.
But how does that now happen in the airlines? Because these planes are not flying together.
Not the flying, not the actual plane. The running of the business, the teamwork and all that, yes. And leaving no one behind, and yes. And playing to people's strengths.
Yeah.
Yes, because part of the flying is when there is a bird that's been hurt, the bird is not left alone. They are left with two strong birds so that they can help. When he's healed, they can come back up and join the rest in the race.
Yeah. Most of those birds that fly like that fly for such a long distance.
They fly for so long. Yeah, that's why they are able to come from Russia.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Rose, there are so many books that I still want to talk about, but let me pick two final books that I want to talk about. I want to talk about The City of Saints and Thieves. And I want to talk about Should I?
Yes.
Tell me about Should I? Your Questions About Money by Florence Bett.
Yes. So Florence Bett used to work in the finance industry, I think, before she moved to Nation as a writer. So people would ask her questions in the Nation's column, questions about money. So she decided to put the questions into a book. So they are divided into different sections. So how to handle did I say sex? How to handle money in relationships, money when how to invest, budgeting, and all those questions. So based on questions that she had been answering on her column. So they're divided. So she has a follow-up book to Should I? Let me find the name.
Yeah, and I like how she's, because I'm looking at randomly, just opened chapter 12. My family asked me for too much money.
Yes.
How do I say no?
Yes. Yeah.
How do you say no?
You decide how much you're going to be giving them, however often, and stick to it. Yes, because sometimes your parents want you to fund $1 million Nini project. When she has a chama, she wants you to, when she has a harambe, she wants you to chip in, but you also don't have the money.
Isn't that what is equated as love? I love my parents.
No.
I know of people who, if you don't send them money.
Yes, that's called manipulation.
Eh?
That's called manipulation.
Should I show my partner my pay slip?
Yes, if you're married, not if they are your boyfriend, girlfriend. If you're committed, married, yes. So that you're able to plan and budget for it. Next question.
Should I borrow money from my woman?
She says no. I say it depends. So her argument is, for the woman, your man should be the first person you borrow money. For the man, the woman should be the last person you borrow money. So you go to your parents, your friends, your relatives, and everyone. If you can't get from them, your woman is the last person you borrow money. But for the woman, it's the other way around. I do not understand why that is the case. I think you should be the first person you borrow money, either way. Yeah. What do you think, Mike?
I think so. Actually, I was shocked when you said no, because I feel like sometimes, especially in a marriage setup, the money conversations are here within the house. But also sometimes also people are different. And I feel like sometimes, what is the nice way of saying this thing? Money traumas. There is no nice way of saying it. Money traumas that I feel like some of us carry from our childhood, the lack of it or abundance of it thereof influence how we relate with money in our older selves. And it influences, sometimes there are people, there are also relationships where money doesn't flow both ways.
Yes. Her other book is also available at Nuria. It's called How Much?
How Much?
Yeah, The Life of Your Money.
Nice. So Shulda is also available on Nuria.
Yes, it is.
Told you guys, Nuria is the place to be. Check out Nuria. They have a website, nuria.com, but also have a physical shop on the first floor of the Bazaar Plaza. Money is a relational thing. One of the lessons I can say I've learned about money is that money also has its maturity.
Yes.
And has nothing to do with age, has everything to do with wisdom. And that's why sometimes somebody has 1 million shillings, but does nothing compared to somebody who has 100,000 shillings.
That's true. And on that note, you should read The Psychology of Money. It talks about exactly that. Like, how come some people have 1 million bob and can't do nothing with it, and someone with 100 shillings, 100,000, does so much? How do you grow money? How do you grow money? How do you spend money? Also, something else she talks about in that book is investing, like money. Like, how do you invest money? How do you choose your investments, and what influences why and how you choose those investments?
Ross, thank you so much. I can't finish without talking about this section, guys. I found this so interesting, and I saved the best for the last. What is going on here?
So we decided that at one point I could not decide what book I wanted to read next, and it happens to anyone who's a reader. So I decided I'm going to cover all the books that I have not read. And whenever I want to read a book from my to be read section, I'm just going to pick out a book.
So this is to be read shelf.
Yes. We can open one today.
I pick a number of my choice?
Yeah.
Number 7.
There you go.
This looks like a Bible. And I've seen you have a very interesting Bible here.
Yes,
we'll
that's
talk about it.
A coloring Bible. So number 7, you're being opened today. And you see I have very interesting folding skills.
You worked in a supermarket.
No. So The Time Traveler's Wife. Oh, I know what this book is about. It's about a man who ages backwards. Or is it? Or something like that. And the wife has to deal with him, I think.
Ages backwards how?
Ages backwards.
Like he's becoming
from
younger.
old becoming younger. So I'm going to read that.
Time travelers. Why?
Yes. So I'm going to do my daily ritual whenever I have a new book, which involves stamping it, sealing it. So I'll put my seal on it before I start reading it. Please do me the honor.
You have a seal in the house for the books?
Yes.
Wow. So on what page?
On that one.
This one?
The one with the title.
This one?
Yes.
Does it have any order of how it needs to sit?
Not really. Usirarue kitabu jamani.
Jesus. Unaweka unga yote hapo.
What does it read?
Readers book therapy.
Yes. So you missed the AA. Readers AA.
Oh, reader AA.
The camp thingy.
Oh, these tents. This looks like tents.
Yes, the tents. Are they not? Do they not spell AA?
My
It's almost like Alcoholics and Anonymous for book readers.
Ah, nice.
Yes, thank you.
Who is your favorite author?
It's like asking me what's my favorite child. Like, I love them differently. But if you had to put a gun to my head, I love Elena Ferrante. So the thing is, we don't know if it's a woman or a man because this is a pen name. And her books are so nice, but their covers are horrible. But their books are so nice. But this one is very nice. The Days of Abandonment. So listen to how this book starts. One April afternoon, right after lunch, my husband announced that he wanted to leave me. He did it while we were cleaning the table. Elena Ferrante, trust me. If I ever recommend to you this book, know that I love you. And it's a series. It has 4 books. My Brilliant Friend is the first one. Don't judge a book by its cover. By the way, this epitomizes that saying.
Yeah.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
Very nice.
What have you ever bought a book and it disappointed you?
Yes.
You did.
This book. So Colleen Hoover is a favorite on TikTok. We call her Coho. So I've read other books of hers and they were okay-ish. This book, it had a weak plot. Like, the stories were just... This is not even a book to... This is soft porn. Like, it just has sex scenes, end to end. No storyline, no plot, no nothing. Weak plot, weak character development, weak everything. That was such a disappointment, yes.
If you were to recommend a book from your shelf for a first-time reader, what would that book be?
My Sister, the Serial Killer. Easy to read. Very easy to read. Very simple English. Very simple writing.
Killer.
Very simple writing style.
But I can't conclude without talking about this Bible. I found your Bible very, very interesting. I found this is one of the most colorful Bibles I have seen.
Yes.
Where did you get this? I'm interested.
I got it online, but I've seen some Instagram pages selling it. It's a journaling Bible. So it has pages where you can color. It has some blank pages where you can put notes. Yeah. Besides the Bible, it offers more resources. So if you open to any page, you'll see like some sort of QR code, some triangle at the top of the where it's written page. Yes. So you can scan that and it leads you on the app to a Bible study kind of thing. Yes.
Thank you so much, Rose.
Thank you for having me.
Allowing us to sit next to your shelf and taking good quality tea. I want to still sample that dandelion. Dandelion. I want to sample that dandelion root.
Sure.
Roasted dandelion root.
You don't want to color? I have very many things to use for coloring.
I'm home.
Okay.
Thank you so much. But thank you so much. And also for our viewers who've journeyed with us, Rose Kwamboka has been our guest today and a very creative mind. a data scientist. Check out her profile. How can somebody find you, Rose?
You can find me on my YouTube channel where I share journaling, my journaling setups, everything journaling and food. You can find me on Instagram.
What's your YouTube channel? What is it called?
Rose Kwamboka.
Rose Kwamboka.
Yes. On YouTube, on Twitter or X at Kwamboka R, or on Instagram at Kwamboka_Rose_, the verified account. And on TikTok, Rose Kwamboka. Yes.
And LinkedIn.
Oh.
Your LinkedIn one is serious. It
The
says
LinkedIn.
MBA, MSc.
MSc GXCCR.
But thank you so much for allowing us to journey with you through your shelf and just enlightening us with your wisdom. You also sell these things. Tell us about this one as we conclude.
We have concluded. How many times have we concluded?
We will
Mike?
conclude again.
So these are for book tabbing, like in the books where you want to remember a passage or you just want to mark, and it's part of annotating. So yeah, I do sell them on the page that has the seal, Readers AA. Yeah, they go for 150 shillings. And I'm going to gift you this pack.
You're gifting me this
Yes.
pack. Thank you so much. And I'm going to gift the first person to say something about what they think about this conversation on this What's on Your Shelf today. I'll not give you all of them. I'll give you one. But thank you so much for joining
I'll give you
us.
another set.
You'll give me another
Yes,
set?
I'll give you another set.
So
for giving
courtesy of
out.
Ross, there is a gift for the first person to tell us something about the last book that we've spoken about. Tell us about the last book that we've spoken about for your chance to win a pack of this. But Ross, who sells them, find her on her social medias handles as she's articulated them, and check out. She's written about food for more than 10 years, and that is one of the things that I admire about her, consistency. I know her in the tech space. She's a tech genius. And check out her LinkedIn, and you'll see some of the projects she's handled. Thank you so much for journeying with us throughout this conversation. And what part of this conversation did you like? What are some of the things that has enlightened you? Leave us a comment. But also, as I always say, we still look at the number of people who view. 70% of the people who view these stories have not subscribed. So kindly subscribe, because this allows us to even get even bigger and better guests for these conversations. But that not to say, we are thankful for Ross, who's hosted us today besides her shelf. What book stood out for you? What part of the conversation we had today stood out for you? What did you learn about today's conversation? Let us know in the comment section. But remember, this has been brought to you courtesy of the Kenya National Library Service, which is the ultimate library facility in Kenya. They are the National Library Service. Check out their website. Where do you get your ISBN number? They are the custodians of the ISBN number. And remember what we said as book lovers and authors especially, that ISBN number is one of the key fundamental things you need to have on your book for posterity. You want your children and your children's children to still find your book. That is one of the ways to ensure that book is kept. Deposit your 2 copies at the National Library so that anyone who visits or frequents that place can be able to read your works. Remember also our other partners, Nuri, who also part of this podcast. And as we've seen in a couple of books here, they have a wide range of stocks. Books from our local authors. You get to read amazing and interact with amazing people, some of whom we've hosted on this podcast, and we'll still continue hosting on this podcast. But continue journeying with us. What part of this podcast do you like? What don't you like? Let us know. We'll be sure to react. Thank you so much for journeying with me. I've been your host, Mulire Mike. And until the next one, bye-bye.